we talk about end user education, and the one thing that really comes to mind on this, and I was not going to ask, but I'm going to now, is well, because Alberta is such a oil driven province, and it's something that's very big. We're building that one pipeline or replacing a pipeline going from Alberta to BC, and there was such a big
twinning it.
Yeah. And it was such a big uproar because it's going to be a bigger pipe, and it's going to it's right alongside of it. And one thing that I really felt that the industry did a very poor job, and I don't know if it was the industry, if it's the owners of the pipeline, which now happens to be the government.
It's us guys.
But one thing that I felt really could have overcome a lot of the negativity around the pipeline, again, was educating all of the people out there, right? And the taxpayers that are out there, and saying, pipe has a life expectancy, right? What we're actually replacing, it's something that is built and it's already too late. Like we've already exceeded the life expectancy of this pipeline, and it's already breaking. And the new pipe out there has so many better things. Like we have sensors in the pipe when the wall breaks down. We've got now shut-off stations where when we do have too much of a pressure loss, it locks it out. Like there's so many things that we could have educated the general public. And like, do you think that's something that we should be doing as an industry, or as the companies that own that, or?
Yeah, like anything, education of like what's actually going in the ground. Like instead of there's the people out there that scare everybody. Oh, pipeline leaks and stuff. Like it happens and stuff, but so do car accidents and stuff like that. Like everything's improving that much more, kind of thing. For me, it's a necessity kind of thing. Like we need the pipeline. The other one's old. Like we need to replace it, right? So, like it should be, put out there that the pipe is way better, and these are some of the things that are new and improved, kind of thing.
Do you think that's something that the government should proactively be having an information? And I do this again. I'm really passionate about having the general public have access to resources for information, right? Like building a house, I would say, like, if you're putting in a furnace with this kind of stuff, this is what your average per square foot cost of operation should be. If you put in a furnace or electric baseboard or a boiler or you give them, this is what your cost of operating is going to be. This is the efficiency level of those things, right? If we do that with pipeline, and it not like Canadian government horrible website, 25 different pages to get the answer you're looking for, but something that we could educate and have resources for people to make educated decisions on. Okay, I hate that we're still using oil. We obviously still need to use oil. I don't want a pipeline, but I understand why we need a new pipeline.
I think that it's super valid conversation, and I think that it maybe needs to shift a bit from the consumer standpoint. Like we're not driving the boat, we're passengers, right? But there's other fuel sources, right? So that's obvious as the day is long. Like there's solar, there's wind, there's geothermal, there's nuclear. There's a million different ways you could tie those all together and probably get away from burning coal or burning gas or burning oil, for that matter.
Yep.
But that doesn't negate the fact that there's a petrochemical industry that makes all of this happen.
Yep.
Like can't have this, can't have these, can't have glasses, my shirt's plastic. Like this all comes from natural gas. So but they don't talk about that when they're protesting the pipelines, because they're talking about climate change, because they're talking about burning coal and digging up the tar sands and all that. But the focus needs to shift. Like, they're live streaming on their gas made phone, right?
Yeah.
And like, believe Derrick knows, all my friends are like, I'm a bit of a hippie, right? Like I'm probably an anomaly when it comes to the oil and gas industry, right? Which is partly why I got into working at SAFE, because I kind of wanted to try to change it from the inside a bit. I know that sounds corny, but like that's the difference between, it's not a fuel source, it's a way to make stuff.
No, I completely agree. Like what infuriated me was everybody protesting, and I was living in Vancouver, just up in North Vancouver, where it's one of the highest transport placements for coal.
Uh-huh.
And I'm sitting there going, really? Like, we're protesting oil and we're still shipping coal? and we're okay with that. Like, nobody's blocking that terminal.
They probably don't even know.
That's what I mean. And it
Coming
was
in on train cars or whatever.
It's all about what makes a fancy headline.
going out on ships. Like the fact that we're still bringing in oil from the East Coast, from Saudi Arabia and everything, and we have it right here, and we're talking about potential spills, right? Like, I'm 100% agreeable with you in the fact that us as an industry have to really change it. And there's so many things that I think we could be doing better in terms of what products we deliver out there to do this. But how do we do it? And like, do we need to put a governing body where we start putting these ideas together so that we can get it to the public? Like what has to happen in order for us to see some of these great thoughts, maybe like almost expand Alberta's economic development?
Right.
Almost like a industry-funded public service announcement for just the average Joe or the average Jill. Right,
Yeah.
like just teaching them about everything from things like how to pick stuff for your home that's more efficient, that is contributing to that sustainable cause, to why this is important, why oil pipelines are important at the moment, because of all because we're being highly inefficient and bringing it in on ships in the East Coast, or our economy is suffering thereby. We can't actually progress to be less dependent on oil. Right, that's the answer. Is you reduce dependence by, growing your economy to a point and having the money and the infrastructure available to be, independent of it.
Just increasing the efficiency as
Absolutely.
You got to hit that critical mass, though, right? That's the thing where there's enough people that are interested in making the shift, right? And it's.
But wouldn't it be nice if there
demographics.
was a resource page where it was like, you know what, like you bring up a lot of good points. A lot of them are answered here, right? Like,
Fact check, peer reviewed, all that.
Because the one thing I hate about talking with people that are passionate, they want to be green, but they don't know how to get there. And in order to make their case, they don't just have a conversation. They just start yelling their point louder. And they're actually not listening, right? Yeah. I was in Olympic Village in Vancouver one time, and this one girl was going off on global warming. And like, I was trying to have a conversation. And finally, I threw out, I don't believe in global warming. Yeah, I thought.
He had his tinfoil hat on as he
was
said
like,
that.
like trying to hold her back, and I said, like, first of all, I think it's part of a cycle, and she's like, and I said, and I'll tell you why the water's rising, and she just looked at me and she was like, tell me how, and I said, well. There was just that bus full of tourists that are standing on the beach and they're all throwing rocks in the water. Like, where else is the water going to go? And for 20 minutes, she yelled. And finally, I broke a smile. And she's like, oh, you son of a bitch.
Oh, man.
But it was kind of like you get these people that really are passionate about doing it, but don't maybe have all that information and the resources and maybe even a timeline of getting there, right? Vancouver, they came out with Site C Dam, and they're like, oh, we're going to make everything electric. And it's like, well, how much damage to the ecosystem did we do building that? And what are we going to lose in the transmission from that site to Vancouver? Like, are we losing 50% of the electricity generated because of the transmission of that? When we have other resources that maybe we could do smaller dams with closer power that could not affect ecosystems so much, right? Mm-hmm. Or getting into solar and geothermal and stuff that is going to help us at more of a point of use instead of so far off, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Interesting. This is deep thoughts. Hashtag deep thoughts by Jeff.